to our February 18th regular council meeting. As you can tell, I am not in council chambers tonight. I am in Whitehorse, as well as CAO Lockwood. Sorry, I'm just trying to get to the right thing here. We have quite a few things on the agenda tonight. And I do want to make one amendment, and that is I had originally asked for the AYC resolutions to be on the agenda today, but I am not prepared to present on that yet. So I have asked that it be moved to the March 4th meeting instead for discussion. Unless anyone else has any other amendments, I would ask for a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda as amended.
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
Thank you.
Billy will second.
And second, Bill. Excellent, thank you. All in favor? So that will pass. Okay, next up we have the minutes from the committee of the whole meeting on February 4th, 2025. I need a mover and a seconder to adopt those.
I'll adopt the committee of the whole meeting minutes of February 4th, 2025. Billy will second.
Okay, thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns about the minutes?
No, none.
I just personally found them to be very thorough, and I appreciate that. So thank you. But if there's no further comment on those, I will ask all in favor.
Aye. Yeah.
Okay, so that will pass. Next up, we have the payables. I'm looking for a motion to pay the open payables in the amount of $193,504.28.
I'll make a motion to pay the open payables.
Thank you, Tanina.
I will second.
Second.
Norma.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Norma. So questions, comments?
63014 sorry. 3017. That is BJ's Towing.
Yeah, so that bear with me. Sorry, my laptop died. My screen is gone. Like my screen has actually gone. Does nothing but test pattern. So I'm trying to do this over my phone here. So BJ's Towing. That is it's a bill for probably about $700.
Yes.
Okay, that is for moving of the hoe for a dig.
Okay. And then we had 63023, and that one is Megatech. What is Megatech?
Yeah. Megatech is a supplier of like emergency lighting and sirens and that kind of stuff. So that bill is for the fire department lights that we had to order for the water tender truck. So that was all part of the gas tax, a part of that purchase.
Okay, and then the other one we had was 63049, which is SMS equipment.
Yes, so that's the purchase of the buckets that were in last year's capital budget.
Okay, thank you. That was all that we had.
The receiver general for Canada, sorry, check number 63037, innovation. What is that?
Yeah, so I think it's kind of cut off there.
Yeah.
Bear with me, I'm just trying to scroll on my phone screen. It might take me a second here. Invoice list. Sorry, I'm just trying to flip through about 7 different documents on my phone.
It's $2,260.46.
It says,
does that help?
yeah, it just says It was February 11th. I guess they all were posted
Oh,
that day.
yeah,
Never mind.
there it is. Receiver General, that is our radio licenses. That's like CRTC. It's a yearly renewal.
Huh.
Okay.
Okay.
Why do receiver general and not like CRTC?
Well, because all the federal government payments go to Receiver General.
Okay. All right.
Anything else?
Tried to
on
trick
that?
me.
No,
eh?
yeah.
So we're all done in the room. Lauren, it's up to you. If you have any questions.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for asking those. The only question I had was about 63024, and it just says PMO Global Services, and I was just curious what that is.
So that's maybe you'll remember from whatever day, Monday. PMO is our contractor that's doing our emergency plans. And that's part of that federal government funding.
Right. Okay, thank you. I do not have any questions other than that. So if there are open panels, assuming, not sure if I'm frozen. Are you guys in favor?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Nobody was moving. Okay, so next up we have Elevator Yukon. Jordan Stackhouse is on the call with us to present on the Housing Accelerator Fund. And there was a report in the council package, I believe.
Thanks, Your Worship. Really quick item for council today. So nice to see everybody. When we presented last time at the town hall meeting, we were just kind of on the precipice of launching the residential conversion grant program. And I just wanted to provide council an update on that and kind of ask for some direction, I guess. So we provided that. Sorry, we launched that program in early February. Just to give council a bit of background, those that aren't familiar with it, there's a $400,000 envelope of funding, and this is to help residents convert non-residential or underutilized or underperforming lands into residential lands. So an example I could give there is maybe somebody has like a burnt out trailer or something on their lot, and this money could be available to them to help get that cleaned up on the condition that they were going to use it for residential purposes in the future. So back with the last council, we decided, that council decided on $40,000 per application. So with a $400,000 budget, there's approximately room for 10 applications, give or take. So with it being launched for nearly 3 weeks now, we've only received one application and we have interest from 3 other parties. And so the uptake was a little bit slow. And I was just talking with CAO Lockwood last week, just about that uptake in kind of, if that was an issue or, that's something that he wanted to run past council. And he had just mentioned that, he was getting some requests as well for our previous grant program, which is more of a kind of a straightforward housing development grant. So that's just for the development of new dwelling units, and there's lots of different forms there. So I guess like with respect to the program as it is right now, with the slow uptake, we're going to do a few other things, and you'll see this in your report. So we've talked with Cam, and we're going to extend the deadline to March 31st. So the original deadline we had was today, I think today or this Friday. But we'll extend it until March 31st just to give people a bit more time to learn about the program and understand it. I've asked Alex, who's our communications person on this file, to increase marketing promotion efforts through Facebook, and we're just kind of going back and forth with Cam right now on what that looks like and all that kind of stuff. But you'll see some more marketing and promotion, and then we'll also increase in-person engagements to talk about the program. And I've been looking for a time to get down to Watson Lake And we were possibly looking at doing strategic planning as well. So trying to find kind of that perfect time for the trip, but everybody's been really busy, so we haven't quite found it yet. But rest assured, I'll be down there in person talking to people. And so we wanted to take all those steps, I guess, to try to increase interest in this program and see if we can kind of get to those 10 applications that we have the budget for. But if it's not going to happen, and so there's less interest in this program for whatever reason, Cam just asked me about the possibility of, since there is some more interest in the first program, which is to build new dwellings. So it's kind of like secondary suites, carriage houses, like duplexes, like that kind of thing. There was lots of interest in that the first time around, and there seems to be a bit more interest. And Cam was just asking, okay, well, if we're not getting the uptake on this, can we redirect funds back towards that program? And I think I have put a question into CMHC. They haven't answered me yet, but I've talked with my counterpart Graham, who's the land use planner and project manager on this file, and he seems to think it would be fine. I think it would be fine too, because it meets the objectives of the HALF program and just provides that flexibility to direct the funds to where they're needed and where people are wanting to use them. So if that were the case, and I guess the direction we're looking for right now is, does kind of council support that direction? So an option would be like, let's do everything we can to see this current program through, which is the residential conversion grant program. We really want that to happen, or let's do as good as we can on that, but if not, let's try redirecting that money back towards a program that may have some more interest. And I guess, like, in a perfect world, we could get an answer on that, and we could potentially have an intake for both programs before the spring construction season. Like, we have all the materials ready, the policies already in place, and just kind of matter of firing that program back up. So what that would look like is kind of having the two streams then available for March 31st, and delivering, trying to expend the funds that we have available to build some more housing in the community. So that's really the kind of basis of my report, and the direction, again, just looking from council, is, do they agree with that, or would they like to see something different? Thanks.
I love that idea of opening up to.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, Jordan. I guess I'm just wondering what's been done to, I know there were quite a few properties in mind when we were kind of thinking of creating this initiative. And I'm wondering what's been done to kind of get those property or property owners on site. I know obviously you can't force people to do anything with their derelict properties, but that was kind of one of the thoughts behind this initiative. And I'm just wondering where we're at with that.
Yeah, so far, and thanks for bringing that up, Your Worship. Like, so far we haven't done any kind of targeted outreach. I think when we did, so there's a couple provisions in the policy. So there's a provision for the town of Watson Lake to use some of these funds themselves. So if there's properties in mind that you guys say have in your possession from a tax lien or something like that, like we could look at directing some of the funds towards that. And we could start doing more targeted outreach, and that's something we've discussed, just kind of at the administrative level, saying, could we send those properties that we have in mind that we think could use these funds? Could we send them a letter and just say, hey, this program's available, love to talk, Graham brought up that, maybe some of these derelict properties, maybe some of these residents don't live in Watson Lake, but they own property there. And so if we're doing local advertising in that, it may not be reaching them. So that's certainly like direction we could get today. And I'd have to talk to Cam just kind of on the mechanics of that.
So, Your Worship, I can chime in there as well. Bylaw has been tasked with coming up with a list of properties, and in discussions with Graham, he's preparing a letter that we will send out to all the targeted property owners to see if we can generate some interest. The issue that we're sort of stumbling across is the fact that a lot of the people, the 40,000 would help them clean off their property, but if they don't have the funds to go forward with putting something new on that lot, then it won't trigger a building permit, which won't give us the stats that we're required to produce for CMHC. So it's a double-edged sword. Yes, we'd like to see those properties cleaned up and help those people, but the other side is a bunch of them aren't in the financial position to do anything going forward. But we're definitely going to target people and see what their options are.
Okay, so but if I understand, sorry, Danina, if I understand you correctly, we would have both initiatives open at the same time, basically, just both drawing from the same pot of money.
Yeah, exactly. And that would kind of be my goal. Like again, we would just be getting direction
Okay.
tonight. And so we would have to kind of go back and just like have a think on that and just make sure that's all
Mhm.
doable and it's not kind of like confusing things or it's going to work out. But that would be the goal. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Danina, go ahead.
Well, I like that idea of, definitely reaching out to people, but I agree, Cam, like, we will need to be able to then, even though they can clear their property off potentially, but then building something on it, and if they're not able to afford to clean their property, then how are they gonna afford to build something? So we have that, which is definitely a challenge for people. And certainly the lottery of how it's laid out by CMHC. But I do like the idea of, opening it up to where there was an interest by other people for sure. And then, come the end of March, we can see where we're at with all of that and go from there maybe.
Yeah, that sounds good, Councillor Paquette. And I think
Hey,
like,
does anyone have anything
oh,
they want to
sorry,
add,
I'll
Norma
just
or Bill?
comment. So long as we're getting the units, that's really like the most important part to my mind. That kind of like the necessary former function. We don't want to kind of leave any money on the table. We want to spend all the money that we've been given by CMHC, and so we're just trying to maximize our output here and those opportunities.
Lovely. Do you have anything to add, Billy?
Oh, just,
No. Do you have anything to add, Norma? No, okay.
just like an example of that Donacy house over there, that one that burnt. Is that something like, you know what I mean, Cam, over by Royland?
Well,
No,
that
yeah,
house, yeah, that house is eligible under the new stream, and that's the application we've received. So yeah, so there is those options, and then the other thing that we'll look at too is when we get through the other initiatives, there might be funds left over from doing the policy stuff and the review for the mortgages and stuff. And then if there is, we're going to go back to CMHC as well and see if we can actually roll that funding over to housing development. But the only money we know that we can play with right now is sort of this money. And once we get through the rest, then we'll have to do the request to CMHC to see how much money we can actually move around for other initiatives, because they're the ones that set the funding for each area, and we'll have to make sure we meet their criteria and get their blessing. But they've been really good with us about they're really excited with our progress because we're ahead of probably every other community in the territory, and a majority of them down south. So I think they've said that they want us to spend the money. So I think we just got to work through those hurdles to get through each initiative and then come back to them as well as this option, right?
And I like your thinking there, Cam, as well, because if we then have extra, like if we have so many applicants, if we just kind of open it up to everybody to whatever housing they're trying to get at this point in time, then if we have extra, we can say like, well, we actually have 10 people on a wait list. And that might carry more weight for us than to be able to roll other money over, just, so I think that's kind of a really good option.
Yeah, I agree. The whole object of this is to get more accommodations in Watson Lake, and that's CMHC's and the federal government's role as well. Yeah, we want to play this out. And then my other worry too is that, you know, we've got our first installment of 515,000, and we should be getting our second one anytime right now. You know, with some of the threats that have been made at the national level with the politicians there, you know, there's been some comments about maybe pulling the plug on this program. So really, the only money we know for sure we're getting is the stuff we have already got from them. So we have to play within that sandbox for now, and not think too far out of it, because if they pull the plug on the program, then I don't want to have a bunch of promises made out there that we can't fulfill.
Exactly, no, for sure.
Okay, yeah, so I won't take any more of you guys' time. I'm kind of hearing agreement from council. They, for initial direction anyways, like explore these opportunities and, you know, keep the foot on the gas just in terms of the current grant program, but be at the ready with, if that's possible, with the other one as well. And, you know, just maximize that funding we're using. So that's good direction for us, if I'm kind of summarizing that correctly. And I'll defer to you, your worship, to kind of say okay or nay.
Yes, I think that is the direction that we are providing. So yeah, if you can please look into those options for us.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. I won't take any more of you guys' time. Have a great rest of your meeting, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jordan.
for allowing us. Okay.
Cool. Thank you, Jordan, appreciate that.
Yep. See you guys later.
Talk to you later. Okay, apologies, everybody. I feel like there's a little bit of a delay due to maybe not the best internet connection on maybe my part, or I'm not sure. Okay, so next up we have the RCMP policing report. RCMP are not with a review, and if you have any questions or comments regarding that, we can direct those towards RCMP, or we can ask them to attend our March 4th meeting. So that's just for you to acknowledge receiving. And I guess we can
Your
move
worship,
on.
I can confirm that they are not available for that first meeting in March. It would have to be the second meeting in March.
Oh, okay. So it would be later in the month if, excuse me. Okay, thank you for that, Cam. Okay, so let's move on to number 6, which is the second reading of the 2025 capital budget, which is bylaw 2025-01. As you all know, we presented the budget at the town hall meeting on January 21st or 22nd, maybe 23rd, I can't remember now. But so we did discuss this at the last council meeting as well, the committee of the whole meeting at the top of the month. We didn't really have a lot of feedback from the town hall meeting in the way of, recommended changes and things like that. The only thing that I really had concerns about was about the phase 1B infrastructure project that was basically, if we were to receive the CHIF funding, it would mean us spending 2.75 from our CCBF fund on that infrastructure project. Since that meeting, I have had the chance to really think it over and to also speak with the CAO and really crunch the numbers. And the reality is that that chunk of infrastructure is largely road repairs, which the community desperately needs. And I personally have kind of changed my mind on that now. So anyway, that was just my opinion on it. I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to say on the capital budget at this time.
I've wondered, I don't know if this is even possible, if that could be taken out and added later with an amendment if we needed to. How does that work, Cam? Is that a possibility or not? Like, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, no, if we're proceeding, we're proceeding. the proposal's been written and submitted, so we're either in now or we're gonna have to get a hold of Ottawa and pull our funding. And I've been told that the earliest we're gonna see any money from Yukon government for any of our in-ground infrastructure work or any of this project work is not till their 2027 budget. So we won't be seeing any work from them until 2028, and they've only set aside 10 million. So the whole 1B altogether is a complete package that's been budgeted at 22 million, and that's pre-Trump tariff, whatever. We don't know what's going to play out there, but from the administration side, I think this is there's no guarantees what's going to happen in 2027 because we're going to have an election territorially in between now and then. And that money that they're proposing in their 2027 budget might not be there. And so then what, do we go back and the CHIF money will be gone and then we won't have any infrastructure work going on. And then we're farther behind the 8 ball. And I don't know, any of you that have driven down Wide Drive in the last 5-6 years understands the condition it's in. By the time this project plays out, if we're putting out 2.75 million, we receive about 900,000 a year in for lack of better terms, gas tax money. So really, by the time this project wraps up, we're going to have, about $1.8 million reimbursed in there. So we're really using very little of the funds in this timeline of the project. So a lot of that money will be replenished. I just, everybody, anybody that's been in our office and those of you that were campaigning heard it loud and clear about the conditions of our roads. And this gives us access to 75% of the money compared to if we try to do it on our own without any funding. We wouldn't even have enough money to do half a Wide Drive for what we got to put up to do Wide Drive and all that remaining east section of the water sewer work.
And you're no closer to determining a date when we know if we're getting that funding, eh?
Well, Dave, actually, I'm very optimistic. We submitted the application. It closed on the Friday, and by the following Thursday, they had already looked at our application and sent inquiring emails to Yukon government, getting some clarification on the project, which is unheard of with the feds. And there's only 2. They're really hoping to roll her out quick. And there was only two applications under this funding stream in the territory, and one was us, and the other one was the city of Whitehorse.
Okay.
So
pretty optimistic that
yeah, I'm very optimistic. And if it doesn't go, then we're not out the 2.75 million. And the other side of it is then we won't get any work done no matter what.
Okay, thanks for that. Appreciate that. You guys have any questions?
So, Danina,
Okay.
my part of the thing that changed my mind on that, because I was the same way as you know. Part of the thing that changed my mind was the fact that a large amount of the townspeople that I spoke with were very clear that they would rather the money be spent on road and infrastructure repairs than things anyway. So I thought, this is a necessity. And we do have to start somewhere and start picking away at it. And the reality is that there's not really that much funding out there. And we're probably always going to have to either save up or, really budget for that from our own funds. It's going to take a long time, obviously, to do all the roads. But the stuff that's not covered in our water and sewer infrastructure, we're going to have to pay for that. So anyway, so that was part of the reason why I kind of changed my mind on that.
Well, and it kind of makes sense. Can you say that, we either get the funds and we spend the money, or we don't get the funds and then we don't spend the money. So, it kind of makes sense, right? So And I agree, Laura.
And
And with you, everybody talked about the roads. Yes, the quality of roads, how bad it was, if they were gonna get fixed, if they were gonna chip sealed, and when that was gonna happen. So absolutely. So it is money well spent for sure.
And I can't remember if Cam, if you just mentioned this in your the thing you just said, but all of the stuff that we already like budgeted for, like the fire trucks and things like that, like that's already been like allocated, like set aside. I'm not
Yes, that's correct, your
Sorry.
worship. And then the other, Yeah.
But like, but okay.
yeah, so that's
So,
correct, your worship. And then the other side of it is, you know, we're chasing other funding pots as well. So like council had approved the Wiley Trail upgrades and the Signpost Forest Trail upgrade project, which is $1 million project, which was slated to come out of our gas tax. Now the Active Transportation Fund has opened up. And so we're applying for $750,000 out of that fund. So that'll put $750,000, if we get it, that would have put $750,000 back into gas tax. So, you know, we're chasing, me and my staff are chasing any funding pot we can. And where we can, we're putting the money, we're leaving gas tax alone, and we're applying for these other sources.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know you guys are really good at finding funding in other locations, which has certainly allowed us to afford things that we might not have been allowed to afford if we hadn't found funding elsewhere. So I appreciate that for sure.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any comments? Billy or Norma?
Norma?
Okay, so if not, I'm looking for a motion, a mover and a seconder to pass the second reading of the 2025 capital budget bylaw 2025-01.
Okay. I will make a move to pass the second reading? Third reading?
It's a second
Second.
reading.
Second reading of the capital budget, Town of Watson Lake 2025.
Second reading.
To 2027.
I will second one.
And Norma will second that.
Thank you. Second.
Norma,
Okay, great. So all in favor?
yes, everybody in the room.
And any opposed? Okay, everyone's in favor. Okay, great. So that will pass. When will we be having third reading, Cam?
I would, it'll probably be the meeting on the
Third and final.
third and final will be on the 18th. Because there's a few things that we might have to do some minor amendments on, which you and I spoke about earlier. So we'll, that's why I'd rather push it to the 18th. I originally was going to ask for you guys to do it at the meeting on the 4th, but I'm going to need that time to sort some stuff out.
Okay, thank you. So next up, we have the second reading of the 2025 O&M budget, which is bylaw 2025-02. Again, at the town hall meeting, we presented this budget. Not a ton of feedback from the community other than, you know, just basic kind of questions, inquiries and things like that. Not a lot of huge changes. We again discussed this at council at the beginning of the month. I personally didn't have any changes that I wanted to see. I'm happy with it. Does anyone else on council have any discussion around this?
No, I'm good. Norma's good. Billy's good.
Oh, I suppose, thank you. I suppose my only question, CAO, is we have not passed the tax levy bylaw yet. So how does that work? Should we not have these backwards? Should we not pass that? I mean, I guess we passed tonight, so.
Yeah,
but we don't have the amount in there, so we're passing a budget with an incorrect amount.
well, no, you're not, your worship. It's only second reading for this bylaw. For O&M budget, it's the second reading. And so your
Okay, so it'll be in before third and final and then,
that is correct. And your tax levy bylaw is next on your agenda, and it's in for first and second reading. So they will be in sync going forward to the meeting on the 18th.
okay, awesome. Thank you. Okay, so if there's no further discussion around this, I'll ask for a mover and a seconder to pass second reading of the O&M by budget for 2025.
I'll make a motion to pass the second reading of the 2025 O&M budget bylaw 2025-2.
I'll second the motion.
Norma second.
Thank you. Thank you. All in favor?
All in favor in the room.
Excellent. So that will pass. With third reading, I guess on March 18th as well.
Correct, Your Worship.
Okay, thank you. So next up, as
Sorry, Laura.
mentioned,
Sorry.
we have this first,
Tiffany, she's back. So, take your minutes.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Really is. Sorry. There was a motion.
who's in the audience?
It's being recorded.
Okay, so sorry, motion was made by,
Me and Norma seconded,
Counselor,
and we're all.
thank you. Sorry about that.
And Tiffany, it'll go over to the March 18th meeting for third and final.
Where we just had some colorful meeting attendees upstairs.
Oh, okay. And I wasn't there.
Okay, good to go.
yes.
Yes.
We can move on. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. So next up, we have the first and second reading of the property tax levy bylaw, which is bylaw 2025-03. Sorry, I'm trying to find the document. Anyway, does anyone want to start the discussion around this? Councillor Paquette?
Around taxes?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so are we talking about the 1%, 2%, 1.5%?
Yeah, so this is the, sorry, I just can't find the document. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to access the folder today. Anyway,
Your
so
Worship, it's in your
Yeah.
email.
I know I'm trying to,
I know Thomas isn't here tonight, but Thomas did actually say that he would like to see.
I also only have my phone.
So he's saying he would like to see a tax increase of 1%.
Who is?
And I agree personally.
No, sometimes they don't last year.
Sorry?
Billy was just asking if we increase taxes every year, and I said, no, last year we did not increase any taxes.
Well,
It is best practice to increase it
so Your Worship, I can put some clarity on that if you want.
a little every single year. Yes, please.
Okay, so last year the mill rate was actually decreased, but based on the mill rate, the mill rate was increased, but based on the assessment values going up, there was an increase to taxes last year. It was a minimal amount based on it, but there definitely was an increase. Most councils, and that was part of where we're trying to get you in for your strategic planning, is go in and set a vision. The last council had a vision of trying to maintain a 5% tax increase over their 3-year term, just because they know, wages go up 2% and, fuel goes up and insurance skyrocketed by 13%. So there's got to be some way to offset those costs. And if we maintain a no mill rate increase, then we're actually losing money. So it's a fine dance and a balance of how to do it. So yeah, so technically mill rate went down last year, but taxes did go up just a hair.
On the rate of taxes.
Yeah.
Municipalities only have two ways. Municipalities only have two ways to make money, and it's through taxes and fees. And that's the unfortunate reality. And so that we get a small operating grant from the Yukon government to operate, but we're expected to also keep our taxes and fees, I don't know, what's the word, Cam, in line with
Yeah, it's got to be within reason, Worship.
So we're in the process of renegotiating the comprehensive municipal grant, but they look at our finances and they look to see if we have been, you know, as looking at our own fees and mill rates and things like that. They're considering renegotiating that grant. So, and as well as Canada, when they're looking at giving us money for anything, they're looking to see that we have been adjusting our rates, you know, as well. So just a side note. Anyway, so I personally, I hate raising them ever. In fact, I have said this before, I used to vote against it every single time. But just knowing that, unfortunately, I until we've had our strategic planning session though, where we look at like our long-term goal and what we're hoping to, you know, achieve here. I agree with Councillor Slager for 1% increase for this year. That's my opinion.
I agree to that too. I think we don't have a choice. either.
And I don't feel that it should be higher than 1%. I think that, you know, we're just looking at spending significant amount of money for our infrastructure, in-ground infrastructure, and I know we're even that out of gas tax, but you know, I just think the cost of living is more than 1%, and you know, sure, we're in a good position in some regards, but you know, we just don't know what that looks like. So for me, I think it should be a little bit higher, but that's just my thought.
But is there anything?
Okay, well, is somebody willing to make? Sorry?
Is there anything preventing us from looking at this again next year? And
If you're only looking at this year, then we would have to look at it next
We
year.
have to review this every.
Yeah. But
We
with
have-
our strategic plan, what we were talking.
We have
about
to
is
look at this every single
looking
year.
looking at, like Cam was saying, like over the course of 3 years, we only want to raise the taxes, say 5%, right? So then looking at in each year, how are we going to get to that 5% over the 3 years? So right now our term is 4 years. We're looking at this year. That's all we're looking at. Then hopefully in our strategic plan, we can come up with something that's a little bit longer, or if we choose in our strategic plan to review it every year, as opposed to like, say, a certain portion up to like 3 years through the rest of our term. So yeah, so that's where it's unfortunate that we're looking at this now instead of like with our strategic plan, right? So yeah, we're just looking at it for this year at the moment, right, Cam?
Yeah, your worship,
See,
yeah, your worship, that's the problem with this first year in everybody's term, right? It's trial by fire for you, because you guys walk in, you're elected, we're already in budget prep, and yeah, and then you don't have a plan in place, and we're trying to get that set up so we can get you guys the training and get you all that. But yeah, you have to look at years like this. Last year's CPI was 2% for the territory, but the year before it was 6.1. So when we went with I think it was a 1.75% increase the year before. It all plays in. And some years you can guess, and some years you can't. And like I say, we're trying to get creative. And as you know, by the documents we're provided to you, a 1% tax increase in our municipality is less than $21,000 into our accounts, based on all the taxable properties in the municipality. So really, when you look at it by property to property, it's really a small amount increase per household. When I'm looking across Canada in my municipal newsletters I get daily, a lot of municipalities are in that 5 to 7% increase, and we're nowhere close to that, right? So this helps a little bit, but it goes in line that a 1% tax increase doesn't even cover a small percentage of what our collective agreement increase was this year, right? So
I mean, it's basically $10 for every thousand that you're paying in taxes, so it's not really a lot. I pay heavy taxes because of where I live, so having a high tax increase, I don't like either, but I'm just concerned about, what the future holds. And I don't know what the cost, we've been looking at things and the cost of everything we've been trying to do. It's like twice as much, sometimes 3 times as much as what we're anticipating. And so we've had to really make some adjustments. And as you guys have seen as well, like in respect to like looking at the budget and approving that from last year, the amendments that we've had to make, all of those amendments were increases, none of them were decreases. And so I'm just concerned about that. So that's where I'm coming from. I don't want to see big high tax either, but when I look at like, it's $10 for every 1,000. So for me, I pay over $4,000 in taxes, well, truly over $4,000. And so, it's a 2% is $80 more. I don't know. And, like we just said, everybody wants the roads. Well, the roads, that infrastructure is expensive. And so it's tough. It's tricky because I've seen that sitting in this chair, how we've had to make allowances and how we've had to restructure things, how we've had to use our staff to support a contractor because the amount was so high. And so I think we worked well with the budgets that we've had. And I think we've worked well to be able to get funding dollars from other pots, but it's like you say, Cam, new government, money's getting tight, things are expensive for everybody. And so we just aren't getting the funding pots that we're used to having. We don't know where our CMG lies. We might not get much more, if any more. And so it's a tough seat to sit in right now and to make some of these decisions when all of us know it's hard for everybody to have to pay more. Our cost of living is climbing, but the wages aren't climbing to meet that cost of living. And so it's a hardship for everybody. But that's just where I'm coming from. And so anyway, tough. It's a tough decision, and it's hard for me too to think to have to pay more. But I just think 1% barely touches anything. Like on here, it just says it's 24,000 for 1%. 1.5% would be an increase of 34,000, and a 2% increase would be 45. So that's just what I sit. So go ahead, Lauren. Lauren, you cut out a lot, so that's probably why you're but go ahead.
Okay, so can you hear me now?
yes.
Can anyone hear me? Okay, so I appreciate what you're saying. However, I take issue with making a decision like that without having a solid plan in place. I also, you mentioned the CMG. We're literally supposed to be finding out the results of the CMG review process and the task force anytime now. Which makes me further even more reluctant to. I'm personally not voting in favor of a 2% increase myself, but I guess what we need right now is a motion, and then we'll see what happens. So if you're willing to make a motion, Counselor?
I mean, yeah, I would.
For it,
like to see it
and
more-
then we'll
More than
take it from
1%.
there.
I'm not saying it has to be 2%, but I would like to see it more than 1% myself personally. I don't know, meet in the middle, and I'll make a motion to increase taxes by 1.5% for the fiscal year of 2025.
Okay, is there a second? Is there someone to second that motion?
I just stick with the 1% until
No second.
Okay. No, no second. So that'll be defeated.
motion 1%.
So that, your worship, that would be amended, that would be an amended motion then at 1% from Councillor Wim.
Okay.
Is there a
Do we have a
second?
second for the motion as amended? Second by Norma. Okay, all in favor?
I'm
Okay.
assuming Norma's in favor because she's, seconded.
Yeah. So any opposed?
Yeah.
And one opposed. Did you want that recorded?
Sure.
Okay. So thank you very much. So that will increase the mill rate by 1% for this year. We will review this strategic planning session to just figure out what we're going to do over the next 3 years.
Your worship, this will come back for,
So moving on,
Sorry,
Yes,
Sam,
you're-
what was
yes,
that?
your worship, this comes back for third and final reading on the 18th.
thank you. Sorry about that. There's I'm not sure if it's my internet or
It's your internet, Laura. You
My
cut out
connection.
like crazy and Cam is just like humming along. It's your internet.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. So next up, we have the conditional use application for 709 Stickeen Avenue, which was a key. So we discussed this at the last meeting. Actually, no, we didn't. We didn't discuss this. We had a public hearing at the last. There were no submissions, either in person or in writing. So today it's up for, I guess, approval or not, to approve the conditional use application. I personally don't, can you guys still hear me? I personally do not have an issue with that conditional use as long as it's in somebody's primary residence. I think it's a different story if people are buying up all the properties in town to turn them short-term rentals, but I personally don't take issue if it's in somebody's primary home.
Your worship, I can
Something they
confirm.
want to add to that discussion?
Yeah, your worship, I can confirm that the application is in compliance with our bed and breakfast bylaw and policies.
Thank you very much for. Anyone in the room there?
I agree with you, Lauren. I have no issues. Like you said, as long as it's in the primary residence.
Oh, there.
Okay,
guys have
Thank
any
you.
comments?
No, it's a real resident. Okay. No, I got no problem with it.
I don't have an issue either.
Your worship will need a motion, please.
How do we bring that motion then, Cam?
Okay, so looking for a mover and a seconder.
We're just in the process of making a motion here. So I make a motion for.
Approve the conditional use.
709 Stikine Ave. To be used for conditional use of an Airbnb.
No, your worship, it's a B and B, not Airbnb. We don't have
Oh, it
Airbnb.
has Airbnb in the thing, sorry.
Sorry.
B&B in a residential zone of 709 Stikine Ave.
I will second
Thank you.
that.
Do we have a second, Norma? Okay,
Norma.
thank you. All in favor?
Yeah, everybody in the room is in favor.
Okay, so that brings us to the end of the agenda. The only thing we have left is Counselor Open Forum. So does anybody have anything that they want to bring forward today?
Just one thing, our back truck, was it working for Northport District? What went on over by the store camp?
So that was a,
us or was that on them?
so that was a frozen water line. That was part of the project that, I notified council on that, but there, it was a frozen water line that was a mistake through the engineering and Norcope. So they came in and did all that repairs. Yes, they did use our vac truck and we've billed back for that service, back to Norcope for all our staff's time and equipment has been billed back to Norcope for that project.
Going back, I understand that, but putting wear and tear on that truck, when we could be using it for our own stuff, on our own town stuff, like. I don't
Yeah,
think we should be-
Unfortunately, it was an emergency dig and there was no other vac truck available to come down at that time period. So it was either us risk more of our infrastructure and freezing up more of our 10-inch water main, or put 4.5 hours on our truck. So it was a judgment call. I would rather not risk more of our infrastructure and freezing up more residents. And the fact that we were being compensated. If we weren't being compensated, that might have been a whole nother can of worms. But it was a judgment call that I had to make because we needed to get the water flowing before we damaged any more infrastructure.
So KPI and Bruce Castle are both.
As far as I know, it was up Norcope, was told me that they reached out and they couldn't get suitable equipment.
How do you know that?
Well, I
How
have
do
to
you-
take, I have to take the word of the contractor that's doing it through the engineers. I'm not second guessing everybody that's trying to do work in an emergency situation, right?
No, I understand. I think even in our town equipment, there's opportunities for a contractor to be doing that instead of our local equipment. I don't think our local equipment should be taken away from our contractors. And as much, Kerry's always done that. I don't think I've never known a town that Kerry never had a back truck.
Well, I've been told, I've spoken with Mr. Peters and he told me all his equipment is in, working up at Vic Gold right now.
Okay, cool.
Okay, thank you. Danina, did you have anything?
I have nothing, thank you, Lauren.
Okay, Norma?
So we operate the sand dump at Wiley, correct?
Sorry, what were you saying there, Norma?
The
Yes.
sand dump at Wiley,
Sandy, you don't.
Yeah.
and that's a free service to anyone and everyone?
Yes, and that's the one that if in the capital budget, you'll see where we've got in there where we have applied for funding to build the new sandy dump outside of the park.
Like, I'm
Because
just wondering,
Yeah, because we're having trouble with the infrastructure there with that current sandy dump.
And what does that cost us annually for?
Oh, to run the one we got right now?
Mm-hmm.
I want to say a few $1,000s. What it costs us is the cost of the water, for flushing the hoses out and washing the pad down right now.
Was there a reason that there was never a charge to use it?
I have no idea. There's never been a charge, and I don't know how we would control charging with the new sandy dump that we're proposing. Yes, we will have the ability to implement a charging station there if council is willing or wants to do that.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. The only thing I have today is just to let you guys know why we are in Whitehorse. So we're here in Whitehorse to attend the Chiefs and Mayors Forum tomorrow. That's hosted by AYC. This is the third forum that has happened. So we'll be attending that tomorrow. It'll be my first time attending in either my capacity at AYC or as the mayor. So looking forward to kind of getting into it. We'll be discussing animal safety and control, boundary expansion issues, and there's something else which I not
Community
remember
safety.
in a second, but a couple other things. Anyway, so thank you very much, Cam. Community safety is the other thing, and then of course there'll be, I'm sure, lots of roundtable and discussion back and forth. So really looking forward to that, and looking forward to updating council when we get back. So other than that, I don't really have anything. Nope, that's it for me right now. Okay, thanks. So if no one has anything further, we just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you.
This week.
Thank you. All in favor?
Yes, everybody in the room is in favor.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Ben.
Thanks. Sorry for the poor connection. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Good night.